Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Thank you. Now enjoy the show. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to these late night shenanigans. You know what I'm saying? The What's Going Down episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16 reunion. I've been saving all my notes these past few weeks. You hear all this notes? You hear all this? We're going to talk about it. Well, I'm going to talk about it. You're going to listen. If you want to join in, chime in, let me know. I'll send the link so we can have a chit chat. But wait a doggone minute. What is it I hear? Did somebody quit the show already? That's what I thought I saw. But we're going to see what happened by the time I'm done with this video. We're going to see whether or not she done quit the show. Her first season as a housewife. Oh, well, I saw a video. It didn't look too thrilling. I'm just saying. Like, girl, don't be mad. Get glad. You know what I'm saying? That was you filming. That was you saying. That was you getting caught in lies too, like you said. But anyway, how'd y'all like the all 3 episodes of this reunion? Mixed reviews. For the most part, it was good. The third one, I like the third one the best, only because the guys came out and Charles set the record straight. The enforcer, you know what I'm saying? Like, he put all that mess to bed, as should have been. But yeah. But see, like I said in my reviews all season, Charles Oakley is not the typical house husband, excuse me. He ain't with the shenanigans. He's a traditional, old school type of man, you know, born in what, 60s? He how old is Charles? I don't know. I know he's older than me. No shade. Late 60s, maybe early 70s. You know, he was. So, you know, he ain't got time for all this foolishness going on, this carrying on and getting in women's business. Like Dennis said, I don't get in women's business. Because next thing you know, they're going to be friends, best friends the next day. So he just mind his business. But like I said, well, we gonna get to what he said. But child, listen. Folks was lying from the jump. Folks trying to hide from the jump. I mean, okay, let's just get on into it. Now, we're going to start in chronological. That's how I like to do things. You know, I ain't nothing wrong with chronological order. Hold on, let me get a sip of my drink. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. I'm celebrating the season that is over. But yes, thanks again for tuning in to Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16 reunion. In these YouTube streets, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. You know, let folks know what's going on over here by sharing. I appreciate you. I really do. Can't even get the word out. Part 1, child. Now, yeah, we're going back because, like I said, I saved all my notes for this, just for this. Here we are with folks, you know, delivering messages from folks who ain't even there. Porsha had the audacity to deliver messages from Brit. Well, Brit said this and Brit said that. We found out in part 1 that Brit had spoke with Porsha the night before, told her she was going to be there. That was a lie because she didn't show up. Drew said, well, I thought Brit would be here so I can answer any questions she may have since she told me that a lawsuit is coming. I'm like, what she say, Drew? Child, Drew said, Brit said, don't you hate that? So-and-so said, because so-and-so said. Drew said, Brit said lawsuit was coming, so Drew was waiting off with bated breath. I'm sure she was. Oh my goodness, that was funny when she said Brit's such a coward, by the way. Show your face. Show your face. Show not the face on the posters that Kenya put out, but show your face as far as, you know, facing these women about all the stuff you done said about them, child. It only makes sense. I mean, you know, like, how dare you just come on this show, say what you said, did what you did, and then didn't have the gumption, the gall, you know, the BALLS to, you know, say it for as a finale. I mean, I would have come on the finale and rocked everybody's boat and said, well, that's not even me on those poster boards. I would have rocked the boat that way instead of putting out a statement that Andy read. Like, what's the point in doing all that? You could have put the statement out the last day of filming, a taping. I don't understand why it was done that way. I don't know if her attorney advised her, you know, it'll be a good thing for you to do it this way, but child, it wasn't. Like she said, she told Porsha she and Mike was going to be there. But I guess with all the allegations and litigious paperwork down to the Fulton County Courthouse about them not paying their bills, I guess, you know, that was it too embarrassing, Brit? Was that too embarrassing for them to bring up, or was it going to be just too embarrassing, period, based off of what you done told these women? You know what I'm saying? Pinning them up against each other, especially Shamea and Porsha, getting in the middle of their woes as best friends. Child, yeah, girl. So apparently, Andy says that Shamea, Angela, and Kelli were a delight as housewives. I bet they were, Andy. So then, of course, there was an empty part of the couch because, as we've already discussed in my previous review, you know, I went over the looks and the seating chart and how it was presented. On Andy's right was Porsha, then Phaedra, and that's it. To his left was Shamea, Angela, Kelli, and Drew. It left a big old void. And we all had our thoughts and realizations as to where people should be sitting. We ain't gonna get through all that. We're not going through all that again. We're just gonna move on and just add somebody to that end of the seat so it's not so lopsided. And the end was Cynthia. She was the friend of the show, but shoot, she might as well be a housewife next season, the way they doing it. Because she was up there the whole doggone reunion. She wasn't there for a bit. She was there the whole time. Did y'all catch it? Anyway, so they start talking about, you know, Phaedra, mainly Porsha, revealing that Cynthia's clitoris has a hood on it. They could have saved all that. I mean, I know Porsha's into clitorises or clitori. What is the clitorises? Child, I don't remember. Anyway, she the only one. Well, actually, Cynthia may have dibbled and dabbled, but just for the sake of argument, Porsha was the only one up there. Well, here we go with Drew again, but Drew said wouldn't, and then happy. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna go with that. So, like, again, for the sake of argument, Porsha's the only one who knows what a clitoris looks like up close and personal. Since she is the queer one in the group. I call her queer because, she wouldn't mind a female. She said it before, which one of y'all is going to eat me and this, that, and the third. And, that's her life. Hey, knock at the park. So why did they get on the hood of Cynthia's? Again, y'all whoever y'all is that ain't lesbian, stop playing in lesbian ponds because it ain't cute. Folks is struggling out here and ain't got time for y'all to be making fun of how they live their life. Do you and leave ponds where they supposed to be. Okay? I'm sick of it. I'm sick and tired of these females always playing around with each other and don't really mean it. If you're going to mean it, be it. Otherwise, stop playing. Always going around and all the freaking and deacon and carrying on. You ain't even doing it for real. Nah, folks out here living for real, for real. So let folks live and stop playing around where you ain't supposed to be. Anywho, back to this part 1, child. It was interesting. So here we go. Porsha's package talking about divorce and the lie she been told to get there. Shamea asked, child, I can't believe Shamea Shamea asked Porsha, did she do her due diligence as far as Porsha talking about Simon not being who he said he was, and that pretty much was, the ending of what they were supposed to be doing and carrying on. I'm like, girl, really? That's what you came up with? That's what you came up with, girl? Is that what it was for real? Oh, okay. I guess. Anywho, like I said, Shamea chimed in and, they going back and forth about due diligence. And Kelli says her divorce is not the same as Porsha tried to make it seem to be. Kelli was like, no, I was married for 10 plus years. You was married for 10 plus months. So that ain't nothing to be compared to. But in Porsha's defense, Porsha was just relating to them conversing about them being, about to be divorced, about them going through the woes of, of having a contentious divorce, not necessarily it being the same thing. That was a little, snippy of you, Kelli, to go off like that. I would have just, made it seem more defined, other than saying, no, girl, it ain't the same. No, because I was trying to, sneak a dig in. Now, we all know Kelli was trying to get in good with the in crowd by any means necessary so she can keep this job, child. Again, nothing wrong with wanting better for yourself. I think Kelli will be back, just saying, based off of everything that transpired. She's a good one to be on the show. She proved her loyalty. She proved she can hang with the best of them and the worst of them. And I think she proved herself. Porsha just was, a little irritated by it, but at the same time, just letting her know that, she understands that, she was only married for 15 months, but at the same time, you ain't got to take a dig at me, girl. Yes, she did. Because like she said, why'd you take that woman's husband? And it's really strange how the narrative was changed all season as they did not fully discuss it. They should have. I bet you had Kenya stuck around, it would have been discussed. Okay. Oh, child, I just keep thinking about how Kenya messed up the thing, just messed up her bag. All Kenya had to do was play the victim to the hilt. She loves a good actress role. and I meant that to be shady because she can put on the Ritz. Let me tell you, she will put on like Jeezy, just putting on. She could have got that girl off the show the right way instead of you putting yourself off of the show, girl. And now you making videos talking about you ain't gonna be hired back for season 17. Well, that's a wrap for Kenya. I mean, again, Kenya and Nene, how do you get fired from living your reality? Child, are you serious? Really? Okay, well, folks just ain't appreciative. I always said the wrong folks got the money. I'm just saying. I mean, I don't think I would want to be on reality TV. I don't think I have the guts to show my life like, in full bloom and everything. I'm just a little private. You know what I'm saying? Eh, I don't know. I give it to them, that there's some brave heifers, but ooh, child. Mm-mm. I don't know. But anyway, enough about me. What else happened in part one? Angela, she was brought up. Angela is not ashamed of her daughter being lesbian. She just wants her daughter to live more of her life instead of getting married so young. Was she 22, 23, something like that? That is young to get married, especially when you're not so much established, with everything in your life. So I can definitely understand where Angela's coming from. But, when your kids do things you don't want them to do, all you can do is support them, especially if it ain't, they ain't out there doing nothing illegal. It's just something you didn't like. You say, oh, Lord. But again, as long as they ain't out there doing nothing wrong or illegal, you got to support them, let them know this isn't what I wanted for you for your future. I really wish you would have done X, Y, and Z, and explain to them why. Don't just say, I wish you would have done this X, Y, and Z. Let them know because of how it is and yada, yada, and blah, 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 and blase. Because young adults need to know you respect them. And what better way is to have grown folk conversation with them? Set them down, have charcuterie out, whatever the case. And just, I want to have a conversation. I think that, and I know she's done that. I've seen her do it on the show. I just wish more adults, more parents would give their young adult children a lot more respect in that manner. It helps them to have better relationships with those that they come in contact with, and it shows them that even though you've done something I'm not appreciative of, or I wish you would not have done, I respect you enough to have a conversation about it. Not that I'm trying to change your mind, but at the same time, I just want you to understand real life, and you have to live with the consequences of everything that you do, and to fully understand all the consequences. If you didn't know, now you know, and let them know. So that's what I did with mine anyway. So and start as early as they can understand, in my opinion, because they need to have that foundation as they get older and as they go into the world. Mm-hmm. Oh, Lord. So Andrew brought up the fact that the matchmaker business. Now, we all remember a couple of years ago how Porsha tweeted or posted on social media about Shamea being a great matchmaker with a picture of her and Simon. Let me get a little sip because it's going to be a little lengthy. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we all remember they showed up the social media post But Shamea said, I didn't match them up. They were already together. Like they said, they made each other in their DMs. Yeah, we heard that live story too. One said the other one contacted them. The other one said the other one contacted them. So we can't go by that. We remember a whole lot about their so-called meeting up with each other. We also remember the fist bump. Mm-hmm. How you gonna fist bump somebody you don't know while your friend over there Tanya just sniggling and giggling? Mm-hmm. I already said my theory that they knew each other way before then. Anyway, so Shamea, was already outed as being the matchmaker. Now she says she didn't, and then Porsha was asked, and she him and hawed about, no, she didn't. It was just so messed up of a of a lie. It's like, y'all just tell the truth. And by how Simon is on his little press tour, press run, excuse me, about about the demise of his and hers divorce and marriage, and I mean about the demise of their marriage, and he's fighting it because he doesn't feel like she was upfront regarding the prenup and yada yada and everything he's saying in these social media streets. It's bound to come out as to exactly how they hooked up and when they hooked up. I mean, if it doesn't hurt his case, he just may tell it. If he's gonna tell it, then he might as well tell it all. Just saying. And all it's gonna do is prove all of us right anyway. I know. Listen, I'm not Marcel Scott. I don't need a certain type of proof in order for me to believe what is. Picture of his back, talking about that ain't him. Boy, then why was your wife crying when she saw the picture? I don't mean to laugh, but it's like, come on now. I'm gonna do a whole other reality show talking about cheating and carrying on and folks not being real in their marriage. Back to Roa. It's gonna be just any day now before the truth is gonna set Simon free. Free in more ways than one, because child, he is done. He out there talking about how she only married him for money. Well, what'd you marry her for? Because anyway, Shamea the matchmaker denied everything. Drew brought up this was a distraction from Porsha's real life in regards to Porsha trying to blame this person for that, trying to blame that person for this instead of giving her true life. And we all know that. We all see that. We all discovered that. We knew that before we knew this was going to happen before the show aired. Because we know Porsha. She's a liar. And she would do any and everything to make herself look better than who she really is. Now, because she's conniving and manipulative and just untruthful a lot of the times that we've seen her on television, can you imagine how she really lives her life outside of TV? I mean, 265 days, who's going to teach Pete? I'm just glad PJ got a family outside of those who we are questioning that can really give her a good sense of Black history, arithmetic, social studies, English, grammar, the whole gamut, the etiquette. Because, child, I just, it's questionable in that household. I'm just trying to tell you, it's questionable. What else going on for, Porsha apologized to Drew for filming with Ralph. And why did production immediately pan to Shamea? Because the whole season Shamea was talking about Noah was not a get back. We just wanted to talk to Ralph to see what was going on because we have business dealings left and right. And she said that with a straight up ass face. Shamea be lying. Like she said in part 3. Well, you lying too. Well, we don't get into that. See, I really thought Shamea presented herself to be this upstanding woman. No wonder why her and Porsha have been best friends for a long time. If Shamea really is an upstanding woman, then she needs to stop all the foolishness, all the shenanigans, all the fugazi that she's and how she's mimicked or dealt with Porsha, and just be truthful and be her real self. Because it just seemed to me, like she said, outside of Shamea not really presenting how she really feels about someone when they're dissing her, so she brushes it off. She's done that a lot. She's been dissed a lot, in her life. She never really was the first chosen. She never really was the it girl. So, she was pushed aside and not really, known for being number one. Now that she is, and I'm glad that her husband found her, gave her some esteem. She does have some esteem issues, right? And when she has a best friend like Porsha, it probably makes her feel a little less than, because Porsha gets so much attention. You know what I'm saying? I think Shamea needs to find who she is for real, live that 100, okay, and stop the shenanigans that she has allowed herself to be like her so-called best friend over there. Because I can see how Shamea has assimilated to the ways Porsha has, trying to help Porsha, trying to, play second fiddle to Porsha. And I think Porsha liked it. You know what I'm saying? It's because Porsha is very superficial. Shamea is to a certain extent, but I can see the depth in Shamea. I can't see the depth in Porsha. And I'm being totally unbiased. I'm not even thinking about, the fact that, the Fallon and all that. No. I'm speaking to what I know of and who Porsha to be. How she has presented herself in real life, IRL, okay? I see she's just superficial and shallow and a little dumb, selfish. Oh, it's not a good look. But I see depth in Shamea. I see her nurturing. I see her wanting to, I see the soul in Shamea, to the point of how she comes across in her relationships. I'm glad we got to see her family in the beginning and the love that's there and how they relate to each other, how they speak to each other. There's depth in those conversations. It's a difference when I see Porsha relating to her mom and her sister. Even with Porsha's 3-part commercial, shout out to Nene Leakes. The depth regarding Porsha came from her dad's side. I forget the aunt's name. And rest in peace to Londi. Now, the foolishness came from her mom's side, and them folks, child, I couldn't, and I wouldn't, and I won't, and I ain't. Them folks over there, you couldn't pay. Well, you probably could pay me to be around, but no. No, ma'am. But big ups to Shamea. I see the love that her husband has for her and their children. There's a respect there that Shamea gets that Porsha does not get. And you would think because of the way they both look that Porsha would get all of the everything plus that Shamea has, but there's a reason why. Shamea has what she has, and I'm not just talking monetary value. I'm speaking to the love of family that you can tell there's something there, right? And big ups to Shamea in that regard. So yeah, Shamea caught line. All that big up to Shamea come back with Shamea caught line about filming with Ralph. Porsha set it straight. And I think Shamea was upset in her the way production showed her in that moment, thinking, dang, why she gotta run me over with the front tire, back tire? We supposed to go to the grave with this stuff. I'm pretty sure that's what she was thinking. But girl, wait till part 2 as to why you got ran over front tire, back tire by your BFF. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Now what's going on, child? Because I was really taken aback by that. I really was. So again, they talk about Brit not here, but again, Porsha speaking for Brit because Brit spoke to her, and Brit spoke of an alliance between Brit, Kelli, and Shamea, the new girls. Now Angela was not invited for the alliance, but then Shamea was like, you were in the alliance, Porsha. What are you talking about? Portia's like, I ain't got nothing about no alliance. And I was told that y'all was trying to take me out. What you mean take you out, girl? Yeah, take you out. Not, unalive, but take her down. I'm sick of that take her down mess. I mean, as if. Anyway, so apparently Porsha didn't know that she was in an alliance, but everybody's like, yes, you were. You knew. Girl. So then they start talking about the bodyguard for Kelli. I can't believe Porsha questioned that whole situation. But we all know she's not a girl's girl, so it's not that surprising. At the same time, why would Kelli go through all this rigmarole? Why would she lie about the court stuff, talking about how he threatened her life in court? He was held in contempt, possibly jailed for that. He was also asked about paying child support. He refused to pay child support. He was held in contempt and jailed for that. He, like I said, threatened her in court to the point where she had to get a bodyguard because she ain't number 2'8", and it was just a whole lot for Porsha to question it, as she should not have. And then they went on to talk about the bills Kelli had, and she's like, yeah, I have bills because I have to pay for the divorce. So things don't have, pretty much Kelli is robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know what I'm saying? It ain't like we ain't all haven't done it at some point in our life. And if we got kids, I'm pretty sure you have, if you have not been on reality TV making a coin. Just saying. I know I have back in the day. Child, robbing Peter to pay Paul. We all know what that means, trying to make ends meet, trying to have some meat. You know what I'm saying? But that was it for part 1, y'all. Let's get to part 2. Part two. What you gonna do? Oh, these heifers. Where my notes at, child? Where's part 2? Part two. Here it is. Okay. Ooh. Now we kind of left off a little bit with Angela and Phaedra, right? Angela was getting into Phaedra's behind, at the end of part 1 for the most part, but they really tackled it in part 2. Angela had all her notes like I did. She had her dossier. I just got notes, piece of paper, but she had, photocopies and proof this and evidence that and allegations this and testimony what. She's, we all saw what happened on the finale. The dude came who was connected to Phaedra through relatives and school buddies and Facebook friends. So that's how Angela connected him, on top of what he said he was connected to Phaedra. So we got testimony plus connections, 6 degrees of separation. Again, people forget that testimony is acceptable as proof. People acting like Marcel Scott talking about they need a certain kind of proof in order to believe it. Again, testimony is proof. If all you have is testimony, that is enough. Well, that can be enough. Just because you wanted a certain type of proof like Marcel Scott don't mean that the testimony is false. And you can break that down to the court of law. Now, I just came from jury duty last month. I know what I'm talking about. Because when it comes down to brass tacks, testimony is enough. So I really want people to understand, just when someone said, just like saying when a woman says she was attacked, we're supposed to believe her for the most part. Yeah. For the most part, what woman is going to sit up here and want to go through all that when nothing happened? But I don't need to use that as justification for saying, everybody listen to me, testimony is enough. Testimony can be enough to convict. Check it out with the courts. I don't even have to say allegedly on that because it is a truth. Anyway, back to the reunion part 2. Angela felt Phaedra set her up. Angela said, "You're not in the rooms I'm in. I don't know. People I'm in the rooms I'm in, they know of you, but they don't know you." Phaedra talking about, "Well, I know your husband and for the last 10 years, and he never spoke of you." Ooh, wait till we get to part 3. Remember that, what Phaedra said, okay? And then the threats came. Apparently, Angela was at a Hawks game. Phaedra and her friend was there. The friend approached Angela, said, "Yeah, I'm friends with Phaedra, the one with hands." And those of us, who are, of the urban persuasion, those of us who are in the know, when folks say they got hands, that means they can fight. Andy had to be schooled on them. He's about hands. What you mean hands? You got hands? Everybody got hands. No, everybody don't have hands. Ooh, let me wet my whistle. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Yeah, Andy had to be schooled on that child because he didn't know what hands meant. But he found out. He found out, child. He found out. Woo. Angela said, if you didn't know the guy who said what he said and how, you helped him, set me up, then how did you have all this info on the man? You gave me his name, where he worked, and yada, yada. And then Andy cut the conversation. Okay, let's move on. Wait a doggone minute. We need to explore that, Andy, and it was never came back to. What? You mean tell me all this going on, reunion months later, and you don't want to finish out what she said about, and Phaedra felt like she didn't need to say nothing else because Andy saved her by the bell. I'm like, what? We ain't gonna get no more from that. So then Angela felt like Drew didn't have her back in that moment, but she's always had Drew's back even when Drew wasn't there. And Drew said, well, I'm sorry that you felt that way because that's not exactly the case. She went out to look for the guy and it's just not in. Plus, she was in her own headspace about her divorce. She couldn't show up the way Angela wanted her to. And I'm glad that they settled that. But I'm like, are they just not supposed to talk the whole time? The last day of filming until reunion? Why not film the reunion right after they film? Somebody help me understand, what's all the wait time for? Why are they waiting months between the last day of filming and reunion? Why are they waiting to film confessionals months later, weeks later, however much later, after the event done happened? Why aren't they doing confessionals within the week of what done transpired? Doesn't it make sense to do it that way? Excuse me, help me out, somebody. I'm just saying. Because it just doesn't make sense to me that they do all these things after the fact when it's more fresh in their mind and in their head about everything. Like, hello, what's going on with all that? Anyway, what else happened with Angela, child? That was it pretty much. Oh, also Angela wanted Shamea to really show up more in her feelings. Everybody was saying it, but Shamea just, I think Shamea has low self-esteem to where she doesn't want to rock the boat. Maybe she tried it before and it failed. Maybe, she was treated really badly to where she didn't want that type of confrontation, and it scarred her, but it doesn't seem like she would be the type to hold back, but she does. So I wondered, is she that way with her husband? Or is she all in with him? I don't know, child. We're going to find out. Maybe not. Oh, Lord. Phaedra didn't see it for a Married to Medicine reunion, which is why she didn't go, because Andy asked her, he's answering questions and from folks from all. Now, first of all, how do we submit questions? Because I must have missed the mark. Our show had a few to ask. Anyway, Andy said, how you going to miss Married to Medicine reunion, but show up to this one? Excuse me. Phaedra said, I don't see it for them heifers. And she was waiting to come back anyway. She was waiting for bated breath ever since she knew that Candy wouldn't come back. Ooh, that was my turn. Girl, you lucky Kenya did what she did. I think Phaedra probably still would have been called because, like I said, had Kenya played her position to the point where she felt unsafe to be filming with Brit, Brit probably would have been, suspended of some sort, by pulling that stunt with the Smith and Wesson comments and everything. Apologies, my behind. You meant what you said. Don't say you was drinking. No, you meant what you said. You meant what you said. Period. Point blank. Because Kenya would have made it so to where she couldn't feel safe and whatnot, and possibly Brit would have been on the outside looking in. And then Phaedra would have been called in. See, girl, you missed your mark, child. Ooh, Kenya. Ooh, Lord. Go moving on. Like I said, Phaedra didn't see it for Married to Medicine. And then she tried to help Brit. If they showed a clip to where she was trying to school Brit into being more present with the ladies and not being so combative with them, even though they have their gripes. There's a way to do things. And Brit would just, she was coming for them instead of being there, being present. And that's what Phaedra was trying to help her figure out when she was trying to help Brit. Kelli and Shamea tell on Brit. Brit was backstabbing, going back and forth, telling people this and telling people that, like Barry White. Like, girl, I mean, there's only so much that they can say, but at the same time, I mean, I will just tell it all and wish Brit well at the same time. Well, this is what we were discussing. I probably wouldn't say Brit said. I would just give, the summation of the conversation, say what you said, and let them deduce whatever came from Brit's mouth. But, child, I would have told it all. Confessions, my behind. I would have said it all and let the chips fall where they may. And if I'm looking like something, then I would just accept it and move on from there. I mean, what else can you do? What else can you say? But just tell the truth. And I'm sick and tired of people saying, I'm going to tell my truth. No, tell the truth. Do that. Because when you profess to tell your truth, you're telling a lie. Tell the truth. TheTruth. Child, what's next? Porsha. Well. Porsha said time was a factor uh, in befriending Phaedra when asked about, how can, Porsha get back with Phaedra after, season 9 debacle and carrying on all the mess, with Candy. Like, time was a factor. And, Phaedra addressed Phaedra was addressed for saying Shamea was, fucking both Candy and Todd. And, it was a moment between Shamea, Phaedra, and Porsha. Because, Shamea said it did kind of make me feel away. And I think Kelli and Cynthia had to press Shamea into saying it's okay to say that it hurt you. It's okay to say that you're upset about what you said about me. But ever since then, Shamea has made Phaedra and Porsha think that she was okay with it by brushing it under the rug, as she says she often does. Girl, if this is happening often, girl, you living a lie and you gonna explode. No wonder you need, to have all these vacations and carrying on because you're so stressed like a doggone volcano, I can suspect. What's under the rug, child? How dirty and nasty is up under there that you keep brushing the mess up under there? You need a new rug. Reveal the mess. Get a new rug or don't have a rug at all. Shamea, what's her name? Wangi? Whatever your last name is, child. Girl, you live in a lie. Just like your BFF Porsha. But you're doing yourself more harm because you're allowing people to disrespect you. Ain't no way in hell somebody says that about me back in 2016, 2017, whatever year it was. And you just brushed up under the rug. Brush, girl. Mm-mm. First of all, my BFF would have known as soon as I saw it, not heard of it, saw it. Porsha, what was this about you not protecting me from Phaedra? Talking about I'm fucking Candy and Ty. I'm their plaything. What was that? Why didn't production show you defending me and calling Phaedra a liar? That would have happened right then. Child, Shamea, girl, you got some work to do for yourself. I think you may need a therapist for that. I don't know if you need a mediator to have conversations or what, but I've learned that, look, in my travels of life, to address it with the folks that it happened to right then and there. Don't wait. Child, stop brushing stuff up under the rug because it don't do you no good. It does you no good. What else happened, child? Ooh, Lord. Oh, and then the fake ass apology from Phaedra. So in the midst of them talking about it, Phaedra, like I said, you waited all this time. I thought we were good, but I am apologizing for what I said. And I really hope that, moving forward, if there's anything that bothers you, I'm like, what you mean I'm apologizing? What, that's the apology? I guess because it's 8, 9 years old, she don't think it needs to have a better apology. But yeah, we're gonna move on from that because hell, we can't be no more concerned about it than the person it happened to, right? Right. So reactions to Brit and Kenya's statements. Ciao. Again, I would have had Kenya come on the show, come on the reunion, separately invited Brit, and she didn't want to come, whatever. I would have invited Kenya, but apparently she can't come back to sit. As she confirmed this week, she ain't even gonna film for season 17. So, she good fired. Unemployed. Dang. Anyway, Porsha said she knew Kenya got ammo from Drew because Kenya told her and Brit told her. Well, man, how Brit know? But Brit told Porsha it was from Drew. Maybe that's why she wanted to, but maybe that's why she told Drew to look out for a lawsuit. Listen, that was untrue. Because now that was the end of part 2. That was the cliffhanger for the end of part 2. Now, as they came back to part 3, child, yes, as they came back to part 3, Drew was like, "No, that's a lie. That ain't that ain't the truth, and that's a lie, and the truth ain't in her. None of that never happened. I never told. I never told Brit or gave Brit any, and I never gave Kenya anything, and Kenya confirmed it. Kenya actually said she called Porsha after seeing Porsha lie on her own YouTube channel and told her, I never told you that, but Porsha thinks that Kenya did. See, it's all about perception, because when people tell you stuff and you perceive it a certain way, and we all know Porsha's not that smart, then she's going to run with it the way she sees fit. Just like Shamea said in this part of the reunion, she will confide in some folks. They tell that back to Porsha and tell Porsha how they felt about it, and not give a verbatim message about what was said. I believe that to be true. That's the one truth I believe Shamea to say. Outside of how she hides her feelings in times of strife and trials and tribulations with folks. Child, listen. I don't believe Drew gave that info to Kenya. Kenya said through her own private investigation, she discovered what she discovered, and that's that. And I believe it. First of all, Brit said at the time it happened, she crying and snotting and carrying on, talking about, well, me and the ex-boyfriend did some things, and it is what it is. So she already confirmed that she's done this. So what's the big brouhaha? And now if was a fifth, we all be drunk. If those pictures that Kenya shown trying to embarrass Brit down to her launch of her hair salon spa. If it was Brit, fine. But Brit saying it wasn't. So who is it? Who is it of? But how can you be sure, since Brit admitted to doing something exactly like what was described? Tell me that. Riddle me that. I'm just saying. Regardless if Brit says not her, she admitted to doing it. So you can't take it back. You admitted to doing it off rip. That triggered you, and oh yeah, well, me and her ex-boyfriend did some stuff. I thought I scrubbed the internet, and I guess it wasn't scrubbed hard enough. She's admitting to everything that validates what was presented by Kenya. All of a sudden, that's not her. And she's suing. Child, listen. We're going to move on from that because, like I said, Drew didn't do it. So, Porsha and Shamea, we are still fussing with them. They pretty much, can't get right. And they're going back and forth about who's lying and carrying on. And he was like, well, how did all this start? What is the issue? So Porsha says that their moms had beef because Porsha's mom, her business was foreclosed on. Then Shamea's mom bought the building from under her, and how they found out was Porsha and her mom was driving by and saw that Shamea's mom's name, her billboard or her signage, was being put up at the same time. Porsha's mom's sign was being taken down. Shamea said they had not been friends for years in between there, so don't act like she did it behind her back. Porsha's like, that's not true. And Shamea said, well, I'm not gonna even get into exactly why they fell out years prior, because it's a rabbit hole that we both don't want to, open. That's the can we don't want to open up. And so everybody's like, yeah, we don't want, bring the mamas into this, Now, we heard some rumblings, child. We heard some rumblings. See, first of all, they started in the middle, and I started from the beginning. So we both know that they lie. So all we can go by is what they go by and try and make it make sense to the best of our ability, right? So they both agreed that Porsha mama business was foreclosed on. Shamea mama bought the brick and mortar that it was in after the fact. The point of contention is it was done behind the back of, but it really wasn't. I don't think it was. For the simple fact of Shamea's mom bought it. So the fact that she could buy it made it fair game. So there is no behind anybody's back. It ain't like she bought her business. She bought was available. And we all know when you buy a commercial building, it takes time. So come on, I'm not a real estate broker or agent, but I know for a fact when you purchase property, it don't happen in a matter of 2 weeks. It can take months. Zoning, all kind of things start happening. It has to be free and clear of whatever transpired as to why it was foreclosed on in the first place. So don't make it seem like she bought your mama's stuff. I mean, you come on now. Go somewhere with all that. So like I said, they're not gonna get into the mama stuff, but Cynthia said y'all just need to just hold on to what y'all have and don't let it go. Don't, be so quick to give up on each other because of these issues. Y'all may need to step away from each other. Think about what's really, the issues and come back to one another bit by bit. But it's not wise to just, tear each other down in the process. I heard that. But then Cynthia also said Brit told on Shamea to Porsha about the showing text messages. Like Shamea said, she would confide in these women, but then they tell that to Porsha. as if, in their own words, when actually it's their own words about the situation. Porsha really, she says that what's the name? Shamea came on the show just to sabotage her. Ain't nobody believe that, Porsha. The fact that you got caught in lies during that one-on-one conversation, the fact that Shamea was, being more truthful than you, uh, pretty much putting the onus on your shoulders, holding you accountable, and all you want to do is try and play cutesy as if she's some dude that you trying to smooth over. And Shamea wasn't here for it. I like that about Shamea. She held Porsha accountable. But during this reunion, Shamea looked like all the guilty parties. So both of them lying to protect their own self and also to protect each other. But more so, Shamea was lying to protect Porsha, while Porsha was lying to protect Porsha. See how the scales is unbalanced? Yeah, the scales is way unbalanced, child. Woo, Lord, what else happened? Shamea won't address things at the time. Yeah, we went through all that. What else happened, child? What else? Porsha. Now, Porsha said her private friends that Shamea knows would tell her the same things the cast tells Porsha about Shamea. So Porsha feels as though the things about being told about Shamea is true. Are these the same friends who at her birthday party was yelling out that Drew was slobbing on Dennis's knob for beats? I hope this ain't the same crew of friends, because if it is, don't nobody believe that mess. All they doing is riding for Porsha because these heifers are the ones pumping Porsha up to be the girl. Oh, I don't want to say nothing really too bad about this woman. I swear I don't. It just may have to come out. It just may have to come out. Ooh, I'm a girl's girl. And I want all women to win. I really do. How can I say this? I'm going to say it just like this. If Porsha is considered the smartest one in her group, that group is doomed. So if these are private friends that Porsha talking about echoing the same thing the cast say, girl, bye. Both Porsha and Shamea kissed Kandi in the club. Girl, that's what Porsha said as they're arguing about, what Phaedra said and how Porsha didn't have Shamea's back. Kandi, is that true? Kandi, is that true? Now the way Kandi said it years ago was that Porsha kissed her on the dance floor. I think in New York somewhere, where they was out there doing something. Was that the same trip? Because Shamea said that could have damaged her engagement with Gerald, because he ain't with all that fugazi mess. Mm-hmm. Well. How the mighty has fallen. Girl. What? Kandi, you being called to the carpet, girl. Not the carpet to munch, but just the carpet to explain what the hell's going on between. Moving on. Porsha didn't answer Shamea about being sick in lieu of her Kenyan wedding. And we all remember that because during filming, Kandi was like, that girl ain't sick. She just don't want to go. We remember that so vividly. So it was on tape, child. And tape just saying it. So apparently all these last 10, 15, 50, 11 years, Porsha talking about she had a medical condition as to why she can't get on the plane to go to Kenya to see her best friend get married. But remember when they had that sound bath mess Porsha did trying to get them to get free pictures for her bedroom boudoir sheets and carrying on. The sound bath where Shamea was utterly disgusted and couldn't lay down, and Kelli had to go over there and be her mouthpiece. And that's when it came out that, see, when you lie about something, the truth comes out later. So the truth finally came out that because Shamea and Porsha was not in a good space, Porsha did not go to the wedding. And she was like, "What? You said you were sick. You said," we remember that. We remember vividly because we've been watching since season 1. Child, see, when you lie, you lie, you lie. The truth gonna come out eventually. The truth will come out eventually. So yeah, they just conveniently brushed over that. Didn't even have Porsha explain herself, just like how Phaedra didn't explain herself. I see, I see how production do. I wonder if they really explained it and they just didn't show it for us to see. Mm-hmm. So then Shamea noticed Porsha distancing herself after the one-on-one combo, and that's how she figured Porsha really wasn't into her the way Porsha said she was. Porsha just won't accept accountability. She just will not, refuses to, because it'll blow up her spot. I mean, it's obviously some other lies attached to it as to where she got to keep this lie going or keep the lies going because she can't be found out. Girl, we found you out. We found you out years ago. Girl, but see, it'll make her look like a heel to those who look up to her. And then they're going to question her leadership. Next, Drew and Ralph. Child, wait a minute. They're in therapy. Well, the kids are in therapy, sorry. After, figuring some things out, Drew was like, well, my kids are fine. It's just normal behavior. So they're in therapy so that they can, get back to where they were. Heffa, no, they're not fine. That's why they're in therapy. See, all this, you brush, I ain't trying to talk about nobody's kids. I'm just talking about what Drew said. Drew, you're going to have to just accept the fact that there are some abnormalities and you need it to be back to normal, which is why the therapist is there. Girl, bye with all that. Oh, Lord. Then Ralph tweeted some mess about Drew's mom and her dad that was just totally out of line. And I think I probably would have had to put some bleach somewhere in his drink or something, because what you ain't going to do is talk about my dead parent. That's what you ain't going to do. I don't give a doggone about nothing else nothing else. Ooh, I know he would have been told off that day when I found out he found out he did it. I would have went down to the basement, told his behind off, and filmed it myself. I know you filming it, but I'm gonna film my doggone self. See what you ain't gonna do. No, that's just out of line right there. You doing way too much talking about the deceased when the deceased can't be here to defend themselves. That's just something you don't do. So he tweeted that Drew's mom almost went bankrupt when Drew's dad had passed away. And I just thought that was real low. Drew said her mom really went into and anxiety overload, and it was very difficult and hard. She didn't deny her mom spending all the money, but Ralph, said he had to come in and save everybody. Well, what else are you supposed to do if you're the man in the house and you're the next surviving man that is the protector and provider that you so proudly hold to, firm to your chest to be? You know what I'm saying? If you're like her son, you're her son-in-law. So you have to uphold and uplift the family by any means necessary. Thank goodness that you could. Thank goodness that Ralph had the resources and the means to do so. Otherwise, he may be on a street for real. Ain't no basement to be in. It's it's real funny how he. Oh, it ain't even funny, child. I can't even. That's just some mess you don't do. It is some mess you don't do. It's ooh no. But then they say that he, tweets these sexy things about Drew trying to soften the mood or make it seem like things are something that they're not, and Drew doesn't like it. She's want to keep it 100. I don't blame her. Tell me how much you hate me. I'd rather you do that than to make people think that we possibly are getting back together, because we ain't. So then we find out that Ralph had another woman in the house. Now, that's another issue. Even though it is Ralph's house, you don't bring no other woman to the house that your current wife is in. You just don't do it. Ooh, and then come to find out the woman was at her daughter's school and then tried to front Drew at the school. Do you know that they would have to clear that room out? Baby, listen. Baby, it would have been some furniture moving and a big old misunderstanding. And they would have had to call an ambulance. No, an ambulance. Yeah, call that. So Drew had to address more with Kelli about, I thought we would have, been more to each other, but you came for me and you didn't really give me a chance. And then you tried to front me off for the Balmain event that I had made a purchase for. And Kelli was like, well, I didn't really want to make you feel that way, but I thought you were a liar based on the fact of, you're talking about you, Michael Jordan's cousin, when you wasn't. And then Drew was like, well, I was just kidding. She's like, no, you was for real that day. You was serious, girl, bye. Then the Balmain purchase. The Balmain event was for them to purchase, and some of the proceeds would go towards the birth defect club, not club, child. The what do you call it? The folks that that got the birth defect thing going on that her kids have. So it's something genetic within her bloodline to where all four of her children actually have that genetic abnormality, and some of the proceeds were to go towards the foundation. And because Drew didn't purchase then, she wanted something. She wanted something. It's just that it wasn't purchased that day, but she did make a purchase. But Drew didn't make it. She didn't make sure that those proceeds went towards the foundation for that particular time. So it was kind of chicken shit of Drew to say, well, you should have told me so I can make sure that it went. No, Heifer. You knew then that the proceeds were going towards the foundation. So no one should have to remind you. I mean, how often do you shop at Balmain or Balmain? However you pronounce it. I don't shop there. However it said, child. Balmain, Bauman, whatever. So that was chicken shit of Drew. Even though Drew had a receipt, she showed text messages and everything. But the whole point, as Shamea chimed in to say, was the whole point in purchasing then was for the proceeds to go towards the foundation. Anything after that is just a purchase. I mean, it don't take a PhD to understand that, Drew. Next, we see Drew. Her talking about the royalties that will pay for PJ's whole college. So Andy asked Porsha, after seeing what was filmed, do you have a difference of opinion based off of what was told to you by Shamea? And Porscha's like, yeah, because it wasn't the same as it was told to me versus what was actually said. It was still cringy, but I would have not been upset. But the fact of how it was told to me by Shamea, that is what angered me. No, what angered you was the fact that Drew was filming with Dennis, and I don't even know why that's the issue. Some stupid rationale that she created just to throw off the scent between her, Fallon, and Simon. That's all it was, y'all. Anyway, so that's what was really the driving force, in my opinion, as to why she went off the way she did. Was it episode 2? Yeah. Ciao. I guess. Anyway, so again, Shamea, front tire, back tire. Ain't that cute, girl? That should be FF. Next, Porsha and Shamea filming with Ralph. We went through all that already. And again, they're talking about it again. It was definitely done to piss Drew off. Here we go again, Shamea, front tire, back tire. Next, Drew and Ty are not romantic, but they were flirting over text and whatnot. Other interviews, Drew has said, maybe possibly she could get into a lesbian relationship, but that's not really what she. Girl, again, stop playing where you ain't supposed to be. Stick with what you know. Again, if you're gonna be it, be it. If you're gonna claim it, claim it. Otherwise, leave folks alone, because it's a whole gamut of folks that are struggling with upholding all of what they're going on in the lesbian community, and they got time for nobody playing around. And that goes for everybody. Stop playing where you ain't supposed to be. Okay? Do you live the way you're supposed to live, and stop trying to, play around where you ain't supposed to be, like I said, because folks ain't got time to be studying you and you playing in folks with folks' emotions, and you ain't even supposed to be over there playing. Girl, leave Ty alone. Anyway, but if you gonna play, be that. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. I don't know if it's your religion, your mom's, affiliations holding you back, but if it is, girl, let loose and be you. Anyway, $3,000. 3,000 minutes that she and Ty were texting in a month. Ralph had to point that out. Now, like Phaedra said, that comes to about 10 minutes a day for a whole month. And if someone talks to someone every day, or maybe, 30 minutes, on the fourth day, okay. 3,000 minutes in a month doesn't seem a lot, considering for, two people flirting and getting to know each other. That's believable. So Drew, stop trying to play that down. You're talking about, is there proof? Girl, you was texting that girl back and forth. Shut up. And another issue between Drew and Black, because everybody want to know, is she dating? No, she's not dating. She's not like everybody else. But she will flirt with you. She will flirt. So she had to reiterate that her and Black are just friends. He is not her man. And he sent some, hookah gifts that she passed out to everybody. I don't do hookah because it's just like cigarettes, got the tobacco in it. So now stay clear of that. Just FYI, if you didn't know, hookah is tobacco that's also found in regular cigarettes. But if you like hookah, knock yourself out. Go ahead. So next we see Charles, Ralph, and Dennis appear. Yay! But Ralph is sitting on the other side of this, behind Cynthia. Okay, Ralph is sitting behind, in between Cynthia and Phaedra. And then we got Dennis sitting behind Porsha. And on the other side, we only have Charles in between Angela and Kelli. Ain't no other man there. So they first go to Dennis and they, having him explain between him and Drew. He categorically denied that he wants Drew, that him and Drew have something going on, anything to the sort. They are family. Uh, he wishes him and Ralph is cool as cool can be. He sees Drew as family. That's like sis. But if Portia's single now, then maybe we can get it cracking again. You know how he is. And then he's asked about, well, what does he think about Shamea and Portia's relationship? He said, listen, I don't get in women's business. And I wish, they would, get back to, to what it was, but he ain't gonna get in between because he ain't gonna pick sides. Him and Jared real cool. That's bro, so and Shamea sis, and he's just gonna leave it like that because it is what he ain't none of his business for the most part, and that's good. He should, just stick to where he's where he comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Ralph chimes in and says that Drew told Ralph that Dennis was trying to holler at her, and she, read him for filth and told him how he gonna come out here in his white suit and lie through his teeth when that is not the case. She said she never did because she don't see it for Dennis. He ain't her type anyway for her to be even thinking like that. So yeah, that's that on that. Ralph tried it. Then he tried to let her know how much he loves her and cares for her. He wishes that, they could be who they are off camera, on camera, because they brought up the fact that they were filming some cooking to where he was feeding her the steak he was making. And he said, yeah, that's how we are off camera. I just wish that we were like that on camera. Child. Drew was like, I'm just trying to keep the peace for the sake of the kids. That's all I'm trying to do. But Ralph's like, nah, I think you want me. Child, I think Drew may have threw up in her mouth a little bit, to be honest. Then we go to how Dennis had went out with Brit. He didn't deny that. And then we, of course, how Kelli mentioned how Dennis was in her DMs the first episode. And he was like, well, you going to finish out that sentence? She was like, what you mean? He was like, well, I'm a gentleman, so I ain't going to say nothing else. So apparently something else was said in these DMs that Kelli don't want to admit to. Or Dennis is lying in front, but I don't see Dennis, I'm just saying. When people say that was in my DMs, it automatically assumes that they're trying to holler because that's the way people holler at folks. Hey, what's up, boo? Looking kind of good. So for Kelli to say he was in my DMs, and then on the, during taping, that was in episode 1, I think it was, but on the reunion, admit to nothing was going on. It wasn't no flirting like that. It was probably but don't play it down now, Kelli, which is why I believe Dennis, because she tried to front during episode 1 and say that, yeah, he was in my DMs too, because Brit was saying how, they went out once or twice and he gave her a diamond necklace. Kelli, you looking like you looking, girl. You looking real thirsty off of Dennis's name. You can't say he was in your DMs episode 1, but then say nothing was going on at the reunion. Which is it? Because you insinuate one thing, but downplay it another. We don't respect that. You need to come correct. Come correct the mundo, little girl. Anyway, so we done with them. Now we back. Back to Charles. Charles had to set the record straight. He was, answering folks about not being all lovey-dovey on camera. He ain't that type. Even though Angela was trying to get him to kiss him on camera and everything. Tell me you love me. He's like, girl, what? Like, girl, what are you doing right now? So instead of just obliging her, he's, like, what, huh? What'd you say? I wouldn't listen, huh? What? He, like I said, Charles ain't he's a different breed. Like I said before in my reviews of the show, he's more or less a cross between uh rest in peace Greg Leaks and Todd Tucker. He's a traditional type of man. He ain't with the foolishness, and he stay out the way. He ain't here to be recorded, but he was here to support his wife. Excuse me, his wife, like he said. And so, he made it plain and simple. I love my wife very much. She's the backbone, and she's put up with me, and I've done some things for her, and then Angela went on to say, because of the trials and tribulations of our marriage, he has done the work. And I know that he loves me because he chose to do the work to keep me as his wife. And I know that's right. That's what you do as a husband who is serious about being married and who was in love with his wife. And they went on to talk about all the innuendos and things that he's questioning. I don't even know why I'm a topic of discussion. I don't know these people. And here we go with that. So then Angela tunes in to Phaedra. Phaedra, you said you know my husband for the last 10 years. And he's like, I don't know you. Girl. I said, oh. So here we are again with Phaedra, like Angela said, breaking in a room she ain't supposed to be in. Angela and Charles made Phaedra look like a damn fool. Yes, she did. I was like, oh, child, that is just embarrassing. That is so embarrassing. I can't believe it, child. I just can't believe it. That was so embarrassing. Ooh, that was so embarrassing. I couldn't believe how he just broke her face and just her face is cracked it on the ground, child. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, so Phaedra was trying to worm her way out of it, saying, well, we never met. We were in the same, room. He said, yeah, we never met, but being at the same room or the parties don't mean that I know you. And it doesn't mean that you know me. Child, she was broke all the way down. I mean, she was trying her best to get out of it, but fraud, fraud. Anywho, so Shamea tried to say she met him. He said, when? When did I meet you? I was like, damn. Here we go. Shamea was like, well, we were, in the same room or whatever, same thing as Phaedra. He said, yeah, just because we were at the wedding doesn't mean that I know you. You may have introduced yourself, but that don't mean we know each other. Child. I was rough. I said, ooh, Charles is going to set the record straight. And he sure did. He let all of help us know. I don't know you. I think that's where Mariah Carey get it from. I was like, oh, he read them for not knowing him. And then he was like, why am I being a topic of discussion? Where is y'all husbands at? Why am I the only husband here? And I was like, oh my God. Woo, but he wholeheartedly backed up his wife, Angela. He made her look like the queen that she is. He said she did very well. He watched some of the episodes. He's proud of her. He's here to support her. He didn't embarrass her not one bit on this reunion. He did the doggone thing. He made it happen, Captain. And I am so happy. But Angela was so nervous about that man. She was like, oh my God, what is going on? She was like, Okay, it's over. Oh God, thank God it's over. Because she was so nervous about him really saying something he wasn't supposed to say. My thing is, let him cook. These heifers deserve it. Let them cook. You know what I'm saying? Let them cook. I would have just hey, if, especially about that baby stuff. And again, he cleared that up too. He told the story in his way, which was identical to what Angela said. How Wendy Williams had it all messed up. Angela was talking about her ex having a baby on her, but when she told the story, she was married to Charles. Wendy thought what she thought, ran with the story, and that's what it was. He said, "No, I ain't got no baby." Now, first of all, I thought it was because in the beginning, I'm gonna tell you why. If you go back to my reviews, episode 1 and 2, I was like, wait a minute. The way that they described their family in the picture, now we all knew the eldest daughter, she had her before Charles. That's plain and simple. But there are other kids that they explained and how they said Charles Jr. as if the baby wasn't Angela's, but the child was young enough to be born during their marriage. Now, the little girl is both of theirs, right? I think there's 3 kids. So, or maybe 4. Anyway, it's just how it was told or explained that made me think it. But I'm glad that they cleared it up. Now, I never went back and kept it going as if, oh, yeah, you got that baby on. Oh, it could be. No, it was just perfectly explained. And I'm glad that it was, because just go back to episode 2. May have been, I think it was episode 2, how they explained the kid. I was like, oh. It just was off the way they showed the pictures, ages, and everything. Anyway, he ain't got no baby on Angela, y'all. He better not. Shoot. So yeah, y'all, that was pretty much it. They wound up the episode. You know how they do. Yeah, we wish people well, and we hope for a better season next year, and we wish everything to be good peace on earth, all that mess. Then they brought the fans. Where them fans at, child? Really nice yellow fans teaching Andy the where the fans at dance because he missed her birthday. And then he wanted to twerk. Child, go back to the episode and watch. I refuse to describe what he looked like trying to twerk. See, I'm just going to say this. After all of what transpired during the episodes, during the season, we come across a farewell video. And this is what I want you to see. This is Shamea. I don't know if this is her farewell because she took roll off of her bio on Instagram. But this is what it is. Here we go.
With that being said, my elders and my family, they never steer me wrong. So I just want to start by saying to all of the ladies on Sweet 16 cast, starting with Porsha, Drew, Angela, Brit, Kenya, Cynthia, Kelli. I'm sorry. And if I missed anybody, I'm sorry. Phaedra even coming in at the end. I'm sorry if I've ever offended you, if I've made you feel less than, inferior, if I insulted you, hurt you in any way. I'm sorry. And I hope that we can start fresh. And I wish you nothing but the best. And that prayer, I hope it leaves this room and enters into your heart and your household. And that's a wrap on Sweet 16.
What y'all think about that, child? What was that about? I guess we're going to find out in a couple of months, however long it's going to take. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. And we're going to catch you next time. We got some more reviews coming out this week. We got Miami coming through. We got Real Housewives of Orange County coming through. What else is going on? We got a Love of Marriage Huntsville coming through. Yes. So stay tuned. Don't forget to make sure that subscribe button bell is black so you can get all the notifications that we give. And have a good one, y'all. Bye.